For the last 28 years, Mauricio Umansky and Kyle Richards were the definition of a Beverly Hills power couple. We watched their lives, their business, and their family on television. But today, that image finally shattered in a Los Angeles courtroom. This wasn't a standard, quiet celebrity divorce. It got ugly fast. In a move that's sending shockwaves through the industry, Mauricio explicitly told the judge that he intends to walk away from this marriage without sharing a single penny of his real estate empire with Kyle. His argument? That the business was built entirely on his own merit, independent of the family name or the brand they built together. It was a cold, direct, and aggressive stance. When the judge heard the request, the atmosphere shifted immediately. Kyle Richards didn't just sit there. She physically broke down and collapsed in the courtroom. It's the kind of moment that changes everything. Now, everyone is asking the same question. How does a couple with nearly 3 decades of history get to a point where one side is fighting to keep the other completely out of the assets? Let's break down exactly what happened. To understand the sheer magnitude of what happened in that courtroom, we need to look back at the narrative that was carefully constructed for nearly 3 decades. When Mauricio Umansky and Kyle Richards married in 1996, they weren't just a couple. They were the blueprint for a modern Beverly Hills dynasty. Back then, Mauricio was a young, ambitious man finding his footing, and Kyle was already Hollywood royalty, carrying the weight and the connections of the Hilton Richards family name. For years, the story was simple. Kyle's fame as a reality television icon gave them the social platform, and Mauricio's charisma and work ethic turned them into real estate moguls. When he left the family firm, Hilton and Highland, to launch the agency in 2011, it was presented as a daring, disruptive move. And it worked. The agency didn't just sell homes, it sold a lifestyle. And who was at the center of that marketing machine? Kyle. Every dinner party filmed for the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, every vacation, and every candid moment shared with the audience acted as a massive, free commercial for Mauricio's business. For the viewers at home, they were watching a fairy tale. Mauricio was the supportive, handsome husband, and Kyle was the matriarch holding it all together. But behind the scenes, the structure was beginning to shift. As Mauricio's business expanded into a global franchise, the lines between personal life and corporate entity began to blur. It wasn't just a marriage anymore. It was a complex corporate partnership disguised as a family. But even then, few people realized how much pressure was mounting. The real estate market started to fluctuate, legal headaches over federal lawsuits began to pile up, and the cameras, which used to capture their triumphs, started to catch glimpses of tension. People assumed it was just the stress of high-stakes business or the typical ups and downs of a long marriage. The public saw a husband and wife navigating life in the spotlight. But Mauricio's stance in court today suggests that he viewed this history very differently. He wasn't seeing a partnership. He was seeing a business that he alone engineered. It's a complete reversal of the story they sold the public, and it explains why the legal fight is turning into something far more personal and destructive than anyone could have anticipated. The scene inside the Los Angeles Superior Court last Tuesday was a far cry from the glamorous, red carpet events that have defined Mauricio Umansky and Kyle Richards' lives for nearly 3 decades. The courtroom was cold, clinical, and stripped of the artificial light that usually follows them. And that is exactly where the conflict exploded. For months, the public was fed a narrative that this divorce was amicable, a separation of 2 people who simply grew apart. But as soon as the doors closed for the asset hearing, that facade vanished. Mauricio's legal team didn't just file a standard motion. They submitted a 200-page affidavit that fundamentally redefined the nature of his marriage. When the lead counsel stood up, the room went quiet. He wasn't arguing about child support or vacation homes in Aspen. He was arguing that the agency, the very empire that put the Umansky name on the map, was, and has always been, his separate property. His argument was calculated and biting. Mauricio claimed that throughout their marriage, his business endeavors were never a community effort in the financial sense. He alleged that while Kyle was focused on her reality TV career and social obligations, He was the sole architect, the risk-taker, and the only one carrying the corporate liability. He explicitly told the judge that his wife's fame provided marketing visibility, but that it didn't equate to ownership or equity in his brokerage. Essentially, Mauricio was telling the court that his marriage to Kyle Richards was a personal relationship, but his business was a solo act. Then came the first major twist, and it hit like a sledgehammer. As Mauricio laid out his case, he didn't just use financial statements. He presented a private, forensic audit of the agency's capital flow from 2012 to 2024. This audit, which caught everyone in the courtroom off guard, including Kyle's defense team, allegedly showed that during the firm's most critical moments, specifically during the high-stakes legal battles involving the federal government, Kyle was completely distanced from the financial operations. Mauricio's lawyers argued that because she wasn't involved in the structural integrity of the company during its darkest days, she holds no claim to the profits generated during its massive expansion. The courtroom went dead silent. It was a direct insult. He was essentially telling the world that when the ship was sinking, he saved it alone, so he gets to keep the boat. Kyle's reaction was immediate and visceral. Witnesses say she didn't scream or shout. Instead, she looked like she had just been punched in the stomach. She reportedly leaned over to her legal counsel, her face draining of color, and asked, "Is this what it's come to?" Before the judge could even acknowledge the next motion, Kyle slumped forward. Her head dropped, and she physically collapsed into her seat, needing to be supported by her attorneys. It wasn't an act for the cameras. There were no cameras in this specific portion of the hearing. It was the physical breaking point of a woman who had realized that 28 years of shared life were being stripped away and redefined as a business transaction. But the twist went deeper. Minutes after Kyle regained her composure, her own legal team dropped a counterbomb that shifted the narrative entirely. They didn't come to argue about the past. They came with proof of the present. Her attorneys presented evidence that Mauricio had been quietly moving assets into offshore holding companies and private development partnerships in the Caribbean just weeks before the divorce was filed. This was the revelation that changed the tone of the entire hearing. It wasn't just a dispute about who worked harder, it was a battle over hidden money. Her team alleged that these offshore moves were a deliberate attempt to bleed the company dry of its liquid value, ensuring that if they did have to split the estate, Kyle would be left with a shell of a business while Mauricio walked away with the real, untraceable assets. Mauricio sat there, his signature cool, calm demeanor completely intact, not even flinching as the accusation of financial fraud was hurled at him. It was a stark reminder of the man his critics have been warning about for years, someone who plays the game at a level most people don't even understand. The hearing ended abruptly, but the damage was irreversible. The myth of the supportive partner was dead. In its place was a reality that felt more like a cutthroat corporate takeover than a divorce settlement. And this was just the beginning. If the courtroom hearing was the spark, what happened in the 48 hours that followed was an absolute wildfire. The news didn't just stay in legal circles, it tore through the real estate industry like a wrecking ball. Investors who once praised Mauricio's disruptive business model were suddenly scrambling to distance themselves. When your brokerage is built on the image of family values, trust, and transparency, a public battle over hidden offshore accounts and claims of sole ownership is a death sentence for your brand equity. The agency, once seen as an untouchable force in Beverly Hills, found itself in a state of corporate paralysis. Multiple high-profile agents reportedly started drafting resignation letters, fearing that being associated with the firm during this legal storm could ruin their own careers. The optics were disastrous. And then, the narrative shifted from bad to catastrophic. An anonymous source within the agency leaked a series of internal emails dating back to late 2022, nearly 2 years before the divorce was public. These emails, which are currently being circulated among legal analysts, show that Mauricio was consulting with tax attorneys specifically on how to insulate agency assets from potential marital liabilities. This wasn't a sudden, reactive decision caused by the stress of a failing marriage. It was a premeditated financial strategy. The emails explicitly discuss the separation of personal identity from corporate equity in anticipation of what they referred to as the eventual dissolution. This reveal completely changed the game. It meant that while the cameras were rolling and the couple was performing their roles on buying Beverly Hills and Real Housewives, behind the scenes, the foundation was being carefully dismantled. It wasn't just a marriage failing. It looked increasingly like a corporate restructuring designed to leave Kyle Richards with nothing. But just when we thought we had the full picture of the betrayal, a new name surfaced in these leaks. A name that appeared in the CC field of those 2022 emails. It's someone deeply connected to both Mauricio and the federal entities that once investigated the agency years ago. This connection suggests that the financial maneuvering wasn't just about the divorce, it was about protecting something much larger, something that the federal government might have been interested in all along. The public didn't just see a divorce anymore, they saw a potential cover-up. And the biggest question now is, who else was in on this plan from the very beginning? Within hours, the story detonated across the internet. The moment photos and reports of Kyle collapsing in court leaked, social media went into complete meltdown. The hashtag Mauricio versus Kyle began trending worldwide, racking up over 2.3 million mentions in less than 6 hours. The public reaction was brutally divided. One side erupted in pure rage. Thousands of women, especially longtime RHOBH fans, called Mauricio heartless and greedy. Comments flooded in like, 28 years of marriage, and he says she gets nothing? This is disgusting. Many accused him of using Kyle's fame for years to build the agency, only to throw her away the second things got difficult.
Became her
On the other side, a very vocal group defended Mauricio with frightening intensity. It's his empire. He built it. Why should he give half to someone who didn't grind with him? They wrote. Some even went as far as calling Kyle entitled and saying she lived off his success. The comment sections turned into all-out war zones. The Real Housewives world didn't stay silent either. Multiple insiders say Kyle's closest friends from the show are absolutely furious. One leaked text from a former cast member reportedly read, "This is the most cold-blooded thing I've ever seen in this group. After everything she's done for him and that company, he should be ashamed." Even more damaging was the reaction from the real estate industry. Several top brokers in Beverly Hills and New York privately told outlets that Mauricio's public claim of "I built this alone" has destroyed his reputation. One high-profile developer said on a private call, "He just told every partner he's ever had that their contribution doesn't matter. Who's going to want to do business with him now?" But the most dangerous reaction came from inside the agency itself. Multiple agents have begun speaking anonymously, claiming the environment has become toxic. One senior agent allegedly told a reporter, "We all watched him use Kyle on television for years to sell this family brand. Now he's saying she deserves zero?" The hypocrisy is sickening. The divide is growing more vicious by the hour. Half the world is calling Mauricio a self-made legend protecting what's his. The other half is calling him a calculated betrayer who waited until the perfect moment to strike. And just when it seemed like the situation couldn't get any uglier, new information has surfaced that may prove one side completely right and destroy the other. Just when it looked like this divorce couldn't get any uglier, a devastating new bombshell has surfaced that changes everything we thought we knew. According to multiple insiders connected to the legal teams on both sides, a sealed document was submitted to the judge late last night. This document reportedly contains a series of text messages and voice notes between Mauricio and one of his closest business partners, dated from 2020 to 2023. In these private messages, Mauricio allegedly wrote, "When the time comes, Kyle will get nothing. I've made sure the company is protected. She contributed zero to the actual business. This is my legacy, not hers." But here's where it gets truly explosive. One of the voice notes allegedly captures Mauricio saying, "Even if we have to rewrite history in court, I'm not splitting this empire. She had her fun on TV. Now it's time to pay the price for living off my work for 28 years. If these messages are authenticated, they don't just make Mauricio look cold, they could destroy his entire "I built this alone" argument. Because in the same set of messages, he apparently admits that Kyle's connections and reality TV fame were the reason the agency was able to scale so quickly in the beginning. This leak has thrown both legal teams into chaos. Kyle's lawyers are said to be preparing an emergency motion accusing Mauricio of attempting to commit fraud on the court by deliberately hiding the true nature of their partnership. Meanwhile, sources close to Mauricio say he is furious and believes someone from his inner circle has turned on him. The most shocking part? One insider claims the person who leaked these messages may have been working directly under Mauricio for years, possibly even someone he trusted with his darkest secrets. This divorce is no longer just about money or ego. It has officially turned into a bloodbath of betrayal, lies, and potential criminal exposure. And here's the part that should worry everyone involved. This is still not the final blow. There is apparently one more piece of evidence that hasn't been released yet, something so damaging that even Kyle's own team is divided on whether to use it. This story is far from over. In fact, it looks like it's only just getting started. Now listen, this is getting insane. What we just uncovered is one of the ugliest divorces in Beverly Hills history. A man who spent nearly 30 years building an image as the perfect, supportive husband just told a judge that his wife of 28 years doesn't deserve one single share of the empire they built together. And the leaked messages we revealed in the last section? Those could change everything. So, I want to hear from you right now. Do you think Mauricio is right for protecting what he calls his empire? Or is this the ultimate betrayal after Kyle spent decades supporting him, promoting him, and giving him the platform that made the agency a global brand? Was she really just living off his work like he claims, or has he completely rewritten history to keep every dollar for himself? Drop your opinion in the comments. Be honest. This comment section is going to be on fire, and I'm reading every single one. If you're tired of fake, watered-down celebrity news and you want the real, raw, no-filter breakdown every single time, then do me a favor, hit that red subscribe button right now and turn on notifications. We're following this case daily, and trust me, the next update is going to be even more explosive. There are still sealed documents that haven't been released. There's talk of possible criminal referrals. And according to one source I spoke to yesterday, there may be a second woman connected to this entire situation who could blow this story wide open. This divorce is nowhere near over. In fact, it's about to get a lot uglier. So if you want to stay ahead of what's coming, subscribe, like this video, and comment your thoughts below. Let me know whose side are you on, Mauricio or Kyle? I'll see you in the next video. This one is going to be wild.